Summoning Trap in the main deck or in the sideboard is because I think both Sammy and I agree that we don't like playing cards that are more or less coin flips. And some people will argue that, oh, you're looking through 7 cards off the top of your deck isn't really a coin flip. You're most likely going to hit a creature. And I say to those people, like, you don't know how many times I've whiffed on this card, and I really absolutely hate like the fact that I just spent my entire turn to not do anything. And even in the case when I was playing it, like in something like Eldrazi Ramp, it actually has more creatures in this deck because it has Jiraga Tree Speakers and Wall of, or what's it called, Overgrown Battlement. Like, even in those circumstances, hitting like an Oracle Moldiah or a Tree Speaker or a Wall, it's not that great when you cast the spell for 6, right? I don't like the fact that like I want to try and stick Primeval Titan with Summoning Trap backup, that it counters my Titan and then I whiff on my trap. Whereas I'd rather just wait one more turn on 7 mana and try and make sure that I stick my Titan, because that way I guarantee to get the card that I want in play. Because the thing is, if you play the trap and even if you do hit something, if it's not the Titan, I mean, unless it's an Eldrazi, you're not really getting so much more value out of it. I mean, the best scenario for you, especially in Valakut's case, is hit another Titan. I mean, hitting Avengers Zendikar is also okay, but it doesn't get you that much value if he answers you with like Day of Judgment or something like that. So, that's this deck that I'm currently looking at. Moving on to another deck, I'm going to look at a Boros build that I got from Channel Fireball. And I think it's pretty much identical card for card to what they were playing with. The only difference was that I switched one Adventuring Gear for a Sword of Body and Mind. Just let me sort this out for 1 second here, just to make it easier to look at. So, there you go. So these are all the spells and creatures in the deck. And, yep, every card is almost identical to the one that they're playing, except for this one, Sword of Body and Mind. And this card I just saw crop up a lot in my local metagame, just because everyone tend to be playing like green-based decks, and it's just so clutch in the late game, and it feels like cheating when you just come up against a green opponent and they just cannot do anything about it. This build features core Skyfishers, and it's another reason why there's 2 Teetering Peaks in the deck, because these are a lot better with core Skyfishers than if they were like Terramorphic Expanses or Evolving Wilds or something like that. Although I am playing one of those, you can see right there. But yeah, it should be about enough, and it gives more red mana to your deck. But if you look, that this deck mostly needs red mana. All the white cards cost 1 white to cast, and you need double red for Spike Shot Elder. A little quick note about Spike Shot Elder. It's one of the cards I kind of underrated when I first built this deck, and I found out it is absolutely necessary for this deck. I would even probably want to have 4 in the main deck, but I don't know what to cut. Mainly because it gives you so much reach in the late game. It does so much for you, and this is the deck that can abuse it the best because it has Adventuring Gear, Teetering Peaks, and Sword of Body and Mind to pump it, and it's just insane in the late game when you just like if you get to activate it more than once, your deck you could probably just like kill your opponent with just Spike Shot Elder. Yeah, and you have all this burn for reach in the late game as well. So I really like this type of deck, but I usually tend to stay away from red-based aggro decks when going into a large tournament, mainly because I feel that you probably have a rough time at the top tables if you're facing a lot of like control that's prepared for these sort of matchups. But sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. I'm sort of like 50-50 on this deck. In playtesting, I've only been playtesting this deck exclusively online. I'm a little bit more than 50% on wins with this deck. So I'm not 100% sure I want to play something of this sort, but I like it, and it's not out of the question though. If you look at the sideboard, again, it's pretty much exactly the same from Channel Fireball. Mark of Mutiny is definitely MVP against your ramp matchups. Whoever does not play a threaten effect against like a Primeval Titan does not know what they're missing. Cunning Spark Mage, Basilisk Collar just to kill other aggro decks and just to pick off like small creatures in general. The one card that I don't really like here is Tunnel Ignis because I don't know, like it's only come up a couple of times, and every time it's come up, they've either had like a Ratchet Bomb set on 2, or they've bolted or had Pyroclasm, and I've barely ever gotten any other extra damage off it, so I don't know if I really want that card in that slot. Outside of Core Firewalker, I've seen other people play Refraction Trap as well. I think I like the Firewalker more, just because unblockable creatures are usually pretty good. Probably a little bit more important to me than like redirecting, like 2-for-1ing my opponent with a Refraction Trap. And also Refraction Trap is one of those cards where it can be situationally bad as well. Like if they just play nothing but creatures on you, your Refraction Trap is just kind of dead in your hand, whereas your Core Firewalker would just block them all day, right? Not to mention that it'll probably swing the battle in your favor if you get it out on turn 2 because you're getting so much life on it. Moving on, another deck that I was looking at was Elves, and I've just been playtesting Elves in real life in Paper Magic. So the deck list that I got here is pretty much the same one that was the winner of a 5K, I think back in October or so. I think it was the 5K in Nashville. And this is pretty much what got me started playing Constructed as soon when Scars of Mirrodin came out. And when Scars of Mirrodin came out, I saw this deck list and I said, "Hey, it's Elves." And you know, when I started playing Magic, I started playing Elves, so this deck was really nostalgic to me. So I decided, you know what, I can throw this deck together. Let's try it out. I played in about a couple of tournaments with it. I won a game day with it, not even knowing that it was actually game day. I just showed up for a local Type 2 tournament. They told me it was game day, and that was pretty much on into round 2 or 3 of that tournament, so I was kind of surprised. But I won that with Elves, and I liked it. The only difference between the deck list I got from Star City Games and this one is that in the sideboard I don't have the 4th Azuri Renegade Leader. Not that I don't have it, it's just that I don't want to play the 4th one. I found that the 4th one was mainly for the mirror match, just so that you could just, you know, trump theirs with a larger number of them. But I found that in testing this deck, it has a really good aggressive curve. Its weakness is obviously to sweepers, and mainly people would say, well, why would you play this deck when Pyroclasm is all over the format? And that's not really true. Like, this deck doesn't absolutely die to Pyroclasm, and that's exactly why Leyline of Vitality is there, because they pump your guys' toughnesses so that they can survive Pyroclasms. And in addition to all your elves, all your elf lords, there should be enough ways to stop like getting, you know, extra one with a Pyroclasm. Like usually they'll Pyroclasm you early in the game and get you 2-for-1, but if you can stick a ley line early, even just one of them, it can be enough. It can do enough for you to like survive their early burn that they have to like kind of work around. They can no longer, you know, 2-for-1 you or 3-for-1 you. They have to 1-for-1 you, and that plays like a big, like that's a big key in surviving those matchups, because the only reason why they can beat you is they can sweep more than one or two of your cards with one card of theirs. Obviously, Day of Judgment is still a big deal. I mean, people say, "Oh, you have a Zuri to regenerate through it," but I mean, that's not always the case. Having the mana to regenerate enough of your elves and like having a Zuri in play that turn is not that easy to do. As like I mean, people say, "Oh, all you need is a Elvish Archdruid and a Zuri," but it's not that easy to set that up. And at the same time, like if they could just have like Day of Judgment and Journey to Nowhere, so if they journey your Zuri first, I mean, even if you have the mana to regenerate for one turn, buys you one turn, and then they can Day of Judgment you. And unless you can kill them the next turn, you're probably gonna die. So blue-white is looking like a bad matchup for this deck. Another card that's pretty bad is Consume the Meek, because you absolutely cannot do anything about that card. You can't even regenerate through it. So for that reason, I was looking at this build, and maybe playing a 4th Eldrazi Monument could help, but it costs 5, and I really hate drawing more than one of them. And I even feel that maybe 3 is too much, because I've drawn 2 in one hand before, and it just felt terrible. But I think that 3 is probably the minimum number you can play because you have to draw it. You just don't want to draw 2 of them. Um, I saw another list that did well at a 5K but didn't win, and it was featuring like 4 Copperhorn Scouts and no Vengevines. I'm not really sure how good Copperhorn Scout is. I don't think it's that great because it feels like a win more card to be able to untap all your guys and abuse your mana on your combat step, but um, I can't see cutting Vengevine. It's probably one of your best ways to beat Control Game 1, just because you get so much value out of it. If they mana leak it, it's so easy for you to bring it back, and if they kill it, it's same thing. So yeah, that's pretty much it. The MVP for me in this deck overall is the Leyline of Vitalities in the sideboard, because I don't think I've dropped a game to red based decks except for one maybe. Yeah, I only think I've only lost once to a red based deck, and it was due to a mulligan to 5 because yeah, you can't really account for everything. But my overall record with this deck is 13-2-2, I believe, or 13-3-2, or something like that. And I took 2 losses on my last tournament. It's not that like I'm hanging this deck up, but I kind of stopped playing this deck because I just want to test other things. So I think this deck is good. Um, Overall, it's probably one of my front runners for decks I want to test for the PT. Although, if I think that like the metagame is going to be like blue-black, blue-white based, I might not play this deck because I don't feel like getting wrathed every turn and not being able to do anything about it. So we'll see where it goes from there. So yeah, this is just a short video, just to update you guys on what's been going on with me, and just to let you know what I'm currently looking at. Like I haven't completely written off a control deck to play for the Pro Tour, although I mean I don't really want to based on the reasons I've explained. But if someone thinks like there's like the Stone Cold Nuts control list out there that just cannot be beat, maybe it's something I should look into, and I'll probably consider it. I like to play combo decks, but I don't think Pyromancer's Ascension is very good right now. With like, it was really good before, and I really loved playing it before when M10 was around, but those times have passed, and like the closest thing to combo we got right now are the Titan-based decks, and to me that doesn't really feel like it's the same sort of aspect I'm looking for in a combo deck. It's more of like a mid-range deck that just sort of has like a built-in combo, but it doesn't like win automatically or anything like that. It really or grinds out like an eventual win. It's sort of like I stick this Primeval Titan, and if I get to untap with it, you're probably gonna die, right? But the thing is, it's really easy to deal with Titan decks with just simple removal spells. So I'm sort of leaning away from ramp decks as well at the moment because I don't like their biphasic nature of just drawing all ramp spells and then no threats, or like all threats and no ramp spells. And for that reason, I kind of tend to look towards more linear strategies that involve attacking and burn or something like that. So let me know what you guys think. Post your comments down below, or if you're a member of MTG Ontario, update the YouTube thread where I'll be posting this link, and let me know what you think as well. And until next time, signing out.